And when you halt your efforts, you create this resentment towards them, which creates even more conflict within the household. Communicate that message to your kids instead of feeling guilty and stopping what you're supposed to be doing. You stop your conviction. That is not the proper way to grow a business. As opposed to stopping and giving up, why don't you stand there for a second, be there in that place, and explain it to them? You convince them. Welcome to another episode of Mindset Mastery. I am your host, Araujo. As you come on, please check in. Please check in with me and let me know everything is good on your end. Good morning, Adriana. And I want to talk a little bit about today's subject. Your conviction will come into question. How will you respond? Your conviction will come into question. How will you respond? Well, I had many reminders of this quote over the weekend. My daughter, my eldest daughter now, is going into her fourth season when it comes to club volleyball. She's been playing since she was 7 years old, and she's just getting better and better. Her fundamentals are on point. But from time to time, you know, when you get into a new environment, you start questioning yourself. She's going now for the 15 Thunder team. She's 14 years old. She'll be 15 in March. And she's going to the top team for this particular club. And this club is no joke. They're nationally recognized. They're always competitive. And she's just wanted to be at this club. She wanted to be surrounded by the best, and went out for tryouts, right? So there was 3 evaluations, and then the tryout day was Saturday. And prior to the tryout day, there was, on the very first evaluation, she came home very just down on herself. She felt she didn't perform her best. And she was also intimidated a little bit by the amount of talent that showed up to this club. This is an open club, so anyone could come in to try out for this 15s team. So she was a little, one, she didn't perform her best, and 2, she was a little intimidated, right? There were some girls that came in here with some pretty good talent. And, you know, she had to remind herself about, you know, the amount of time she's been in this situation before. And that one time, one failure, or one moment where you're not at your best doesn't mean that it's always going to be that way. And I think we forget that when we lose a listing agreement, right? When we lose a listing to someone else, we start questioning our efforts, our talent, our reps. And, you know, she came home and she just was a little down. And on the second one, I told her, well, what are you going to do about it this time around? And she says, well, I'm just going to go back to what I know, Dad. And part of what she knows is she's got to eat the right foods. She knows she's got to put herself in there and envision. She goes through this envisioning process of how she's going to show up for games. So she did the same thing for the evals. She imagined the ball coming towards her and how she was going to, pass the ball up. She imagined herself on the court running back and forth. So she started going through this visionary process that she goes through. And at the same time, she's listening to music, you know, to just get her mind focused, to get her mind right. The second and third evaluation, she's completely just dominated her space. She came in there with some confidence. And it was a simple reminder that this, and us just having a conversation of saying, hey, this is your team. You got to act like it's your team. And when we have these disappointments in our business, we have to remind ourselves, this is your business. Act like a business owner. And there's many times in our careers where we forget those elements because we're just distraught by the situation. We're not focused. It's a big deal. But the reminder is that you are a business, that this is your business. And if you don't stand up to what is required, you will lose your business. She ended up making the top team. I felt very proud of her. It's something that I knew she was always going to do. But if she doesn't know that, it doesn't matter what I know. And again, I see many of you, and I believe in you. But it doesn't really matter what comes from me. It comes down to what you believe for yourself. And this reminds me of a quote in the Bible that says, by Luke 21:19, it says, stand firm and you will win life. Stand firm and you will win life. And I'm going to give you the context behind this. You know, during this time, you know, Jesus started talking about his followers, about how many times they will go through rough times. He pointed out that people who take believers to trial and tried to harm them, believers would be severely prosecuted for believing in him, right? For following him. In this process, believers are not to worry about what to say or do, but to trust in him. He also tells them to stand firm in order to win life in the end. And I had a great reminder of this over the weekend as well with my youngest daughter about standing firm and you will win life. She had a project, and I'm not going to show you that yet, but I have a picture of this project. But I'm just going to give you the background here. And I'm not trying to make this a biblical thing. This is a story thing, right? This is from a book, right? And you can believe or not, because I'm also going to quote a different book here shortly. So don't get turned off by this, okay? But I think there's many lessons in the Bible that we could all learn from. And as we become more aware of what's out there for us to understand, it makes us stronger, it makes us wiser, it makes us more able to navigate through life powerfully. My daughter this weekend, she has a project due here on Tuesday, and she's doing it on Helen Keller. And she had this vision in her mind. She had this vision in her mind about how she wanted to produce this book. So she took us over to Staples thinking that she can find everything to create this journal for her Helen Keller project. And, I think it was more me than Carla, but I was getting a little frustrated because she couldn't really convey to me what she was looking for. So we were going all around Office Max, and we were just stopping where the paper was at. Then we would go to the project side, and she just couldn't tell me or convey to me what she was looking for. So there was a lot of miscommunication there, which frustrated me. And then my frustration, I imposed on her. So she started getting frustrated to a point where I'm like, I'm just going to sit here. There was one of these office chairs at Office Max, and I just sat there having a little tantrum, right? With my 10-year-old. I'm the one having a tantrum. And I'm like, I'm just going to sit here because you don't know what you want. So she goes around the store, and I see her demeanor, right? She's getting frustrated by me asking her these questions, and she's getting frustrated that I can't see her vision. And I question it. And I'm trying to impose my vision upon her now. I said, why don't you do it this way, Madeline? And when she doesn't agree, I get frustrated. And guess what? I'm a lot bigger than her, right? So she could be intimidated by me just telling her, this is the way you're going to do it. And she could concede to the fact, let go of her own vision for mine. And I think I was pretty close to really convincing her of that. But what I love about this little girl is that, no, she did not want to give up. It didn't matter how many times I was telling her, you don't know what you want. This is frustrating, Madeline. What are we going to do? Are we going to just spend time here? I started blaming her for this. She stood strong. She stand firm. She stood firm. Then we suggested, how about we go to Michael's? She had a pile of items from Office Max. She says, yes. Like I saw her eyes just light up like, yes, like I can find everything that I'm looking for there. So we go and Carla and I are having this conversation. I'm like, man, this is frustrating. This is frustrating. I'm trying to blame her for waiting to the last minute, which it wasn't. This was given to her last week to finish up. So I'm trying to find different angles for her to go ahead and just use my suggestions for her project. Not taking into consideration she had her own vision. And even though it was very frustrating with her, like I said, she stood strong. She stood firm on what she wanted. So we went to Office Max, and sure enough, she's going through the aisles. She's picking stuff out. And again, I'm trying to impose my will on her. I'm like, what about this? She says, no, Dad, I'm going to do it this way. And then I get frustrated because she didn't take my idea into consideration. And the reason I'm telling you this is because many of you who stand firm with your business will get that type of resistance from your own family, from your spouse, from your kids. Because they don't see your vision. You're not able to properly convey that to them. So there's a lot of frustrations when you have to stay out late on a listing appointment at 8 o'clock at night. When you have to work your weekends, you get a lot of frustration. They try to impose their will on you. They get upset with you when you don't do what they want. And I'm going to tell you something. That is the fastest way to stay where you're at. To always get the same results year after year. is to not stand strong and not stand firm with what you want. And I'll tell you what, it can be very frustrating on everyone. But guess what? Madeline knew what she wanted. Madeline didn't care if I was trying to chastise her for not following what I suggested. She didn't care that there was going to be like this conflict as parent and daughter. And we could easily just say she's being bratty. And I might have even said it. Blaming her. Instead of looking at it from her perspective. She had a vision. Why wasn't I open to this? Why didn't I ask better questions? You as an adult can convey a vision a lot better than a 10-year-old. And if you're constantly getting this resistance from your own family, it is your fault because you're not properly conveying that vision to them. Instead, you halt your efforts. And when you halt your efforts, you create this resentment towards them, which creates even more conflict within the household. Communicate that message to your kids instead of feeling guilty and stopping what you're supposed to be doing. You stop your conviction. That is not the proper way to grow a business. As opposed to stopping and giving up, why don't you stand there for a second, be there in that place, and explain it to them? You convince them. But they're in a situation where they're constantly convincing you of how you're wrong, about how you work too much, about how you're out late on a listing appointment all the time. You're getting blamed. And when you feel this guilt, you're more inclined not to get more listings. You're more inclined not to get more business. You're more inclined not to do the things that you're supposed to do to grow your business. Like work weekends. You're a business owner. That's part of the game. Now, if you don't want that, then be content with the current results you have. Don't put that much pressure on yourself. Take it easy. But if you're in this place where you're constantly wanting more and feeling depressed by the fact that you don't have more, you got to stand firm on your convictions. So we spent another 20 minutes at Michael's. And she's gathering different items. And now I'm making more excuses. God, how much is this project going to cost? This is a $50, $75 project. Oh my God. Again, I'm focused on the little details as opposed to looking at what my daughter's looking to create, wanting to create. I caught myself there. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to take a step back. How about I start asking better questions? Hey, baby, what are you going to do with these letters here? Dad, I'm going to make it designed so that there's braille on my project. Babe, what are you going to do with this paper here? Dad, I'm going to cut it up so it looks really old. Babe, like, what are you going to do with this string right here? Dad, I'm going to poke holes on the ends so I could tie it so it looks like it's been around for many, many years. I started to see her vision. And she got more excited. She got more motivated. This was not a burden for her to do. I was making it a burden. When I saw her vision, she got motivated. Let me show you what she created. This is a project. She did it all by herself. I did not lift a finger. Carla did not lift a finger. She put the border around the picture. She looked that up online. That sticker, we bought it at Michael's. There's the string, the paper. And if you open it up, it has like these special scissors that she bought, so it makes it look even older. The raised lettering. And do you see right in the middle? She cut up the little letters and wrote something out in Braille there as part of her project. She was motivated. She worked on this project for 4 hours straight. If I would impose my will on her, put it back on. This project would never come together like this. She would not have been motivated to get this done. Because it was now my idea as opposed to hers. She got home and worked on this like a beast. She was quiet on the kitchen table. Carla and I and Abigail were watching a movie, and she just sat there doing this. And I was impressed. I was also happy for her. Because when I saw her vision, she was motivated to do more and to over-deliver for what she was responsible for. So just imagine if your family had your back, was able to see your vision. Do you not think you will be motivated? Do you not think that you would go all in with your business instead of feeling that guilt and succumbing to the opinions of others? I was proud of her. She had a conviction. And when her conviction came into question, she responded by standing firm. And it goes back to the quote, stand firm and you will win life. Stand firm and you will win in your business. Stand firm and you will win in your health, in your family, as a parent, as a husband or a wife, or in a relationship. Stand firm. Now you will get this resistance. And there's going to be conflict. There was a lot of conflict at these stores with Madeline. She isolated herself because we were giving her such a hard time. And I feel bad now. I feel like, dude, what the hell was I thinking? But she can't explain her vision as a 10-year-old yet. Like I said, you can. So if you're constantly running into this conflict, it's not your husband's fault. It's not your wife's fault. It's not your kid's fault. You're refusing to stand firm in your conviction. You're refusing to convey your vision. Because you concede time after time after time. Standing firm will create conflict. Standing firm will maybe make people not like you all the time. Venus Williams, a four-time Olympic gold medalist, has won 49 singles titles, 49 titles in her career, if not more now, right? And she was even on a 35-winning streak at one point. She said famously, let's go ahead and put that up, some people say I have an attitude. Maybe I do. But I think I have to. You have to believe in yourself when no one else does. That makes you a winner right there. That makes you a winner right there. These are people that are winning at a high level. I'm sure that she had many conversations with friends and family about her dedication of what she had to accomplish, about not spending enough time with them, about not being available, about doing things her way. You want to succeed? Stand firm in your convictions. Otherwise, you will always go wherever the wind blows, feeling lost. Stand firm in your convictions. And there's always going to be that conflict. People are not always going to think that you're reasonable. But it doesn't mean that you're unreasonable. It just means you know what you want. Madeline wasn't unreasonable at any point. She just knew what she wanted, and I'm so happy that she did. Because if she would have changed her mind, she would have lost trust in herself. She would now rely on the opinions of others to pull the trigger for anything. And maybe some of you are in that place where you can't make your own decision without asking somebody else. Well, I'm gonna suggest that maybe that started when you were 10 years old. That you had a vision, but somebody else's vision was imposed upon you. So now you lack the confidence of making any decision for the sake of not making others happy. For the sake it might be inconvenient to others. That it may show too much attitude. Let's learn from my 10-year-old here. I think we all can take that lesson. And I want you to be aware of this. Are you constantly looking for the opinions of others to make a move? You've been conditioned that way. Now that you're aware, it's your job to stop it. Stop asking others for permission, for their opinions. Do it. Go from within. And guess what? Some of your decisions may be taken as you having an attitude. And I love what Carla said on one of her women's events. She said, "No, I'm not a bitch. No. You just won't walk all over me." Imagine if you approach life that way. No, I'm not a jerk. But I won't allow others to walk all over me. I know what I want. There's people that don't like me. But there's more people that love me because they know I'm here to make an impact on others. Not to please everyone. Because I'm willing to speak in truths. Operate from that place. I got one more example that I want to give you when it comes to trusting yourself. And it comes from this book right here, The Way of the Superior Man, by David Data. And you can see this book is used and abused. I constantly reflect on it. As Carla and I were facing our challenges in our marriage, this is a book that I constantly reflected to. And if you're hearing something that resonates with you, I want you to put a comment right now. I just don't want you to listen. What are you getting from this conversation before I go into the next phase here? Check in if you haven't done so. But this book was a book that Carla and I read as we were going through this rebuilding process, right? Trying to discover ourselves at the same time, trying to find appreciation for each other. And I love this because they're broken into small chapters and just a lot of good content. And this is more geared for a man, okay? But I want you to not necessarily take it in the context that it's being read to you. I just want you to see it as generalities. So if it says woman, think about a man, like think about your man, right? Or think about your husband or whatever it may be, or vice versa. But it talks about how you should always go with what you feel internally. Because if you go based on the opinions of others, you will lose yourself. You will not trust yourself. So it says you should always listen to your woman and then make your own decision. I want to repeat that again because I think that is powerful. It doesn't say always listen to your woman and do what she says. It says you should always listen to your partner. I'm going to go ahead and change that. And then make your own decision. If you choose to go with your woman's suggestion, even when deep in your heart you feel that another decision is more wise, you are in effect saying, I don't trust my own wisdom. You are weakening yourself by telling yourself this. You are weakening your woman's trust in you. Why should you trust your wisdom if you don't? I think that is one of the most powerful paragraphs I've ever read. Because it bleeds truth. Because one, If you think somebody else's decision is more wise, you are in effect saying, I don't trust myself. I can't make this decision. And you're essentially weakening your partner's trust, because if you don't trust your own word, then why should she? When you deny your deep truth to please your woman, everyone will feel your lack of authenticity. They will sense that your false smiles hides an inner division. Your friends, children, and business colleagues may love you, but they won't trust you, since you don't trust your own core intent. And more importantly, your own sense of inauthenticity will burden your capacity to act with clarity. The most successful people know what they want. People that struggle are concerned of the opinions of others. Of if they have, maybe they have a better idea for me. Guess what? If you're that person, everyone knows it in your circle. They will impose their opinions on you on a consistent basis. Your actions won't jibe with your core. And I love this right here. However, if you listen to your woman, taking everything she says into account and consideration and making your own best decision, then you are acting in accordance with your core, with your purpose. You are saying, in effect, my deepest wisdom is leading me to a decision. If I am wrong, I will learn from it. And my wisdom will have deepened. So even if you make a decision and you're wrong, you learn from it. And your wisdom is deepened. I'm willing to be wrong and grow from it. I trust this process of acting from my deepest wisdom. So it just reinforces that, hey, listen, okay, I made a decision. I messed up. But it's a lesson you learn. You're wiser next time. But then it continues to say, the attitude of self-trust endangers others to trust in you. You may be wrong, but you are willing to find out and thus grow from the experience. You are open to listening to others, but in the end, you will make the responsibility for making your own decision. There is nobody else to blame. However, this is big. This is key here. If you give up on your real decision to follow your woman's, then you will blame her for being wrong if she is wrong. That resentment we talked about, it starts brewing from within. Because one, you didn't go with your core intent. You listened to the other person, then realized that it was the wrong decision. So guess what? Now you have someone to blame. And I think that's why we do it sometimes, right? We don't go based on what we want. We'd rather go with somebody else just in case it doesn't work out. We have someone to blame. However, so blame her for being wrong if she is wrong, and you will feel disempowered if she is right. Having denied yourself the opportunity to act from your core and grow from your mistakes. So again, you ask the opinions of others. You ask me, hey, AZ, what should I do? I tell you what to do. Does that empower you more? He's saying it disempowered you. Now, if you were to ask me, hey, AZ, here's my decision. I'm sorry, here's what's going on. And I give you my opinion or my take on it. And you take that and make your own decision from it, then it belongs to you. So whether it's me, your spouse, or anyone else, if you need an opinion, you still have to make your own decision from that. Don't just say, well, this person told me to do it, so I did it this way. Be open to changing your feeling based on whatever your woman might reveal to you through her words or body language. Let me see. And then make your own decision based on your deepest intuitive wisdom and knowledge. You may make the right decision or the wrong one, but whatever happens, it is your best shot, and you will strengthen your capacity for future action. You will strengthen your capacity for future action. My daughter just strengthened her capacity for future action. She trusts herself. She saw the end result. She saw how great it came out, and she knew it was her and only her. That is a life lesson that she will carry on. That is a life lesson you and I have to carry on. Don't concede. Stand firm, and you will win life. Guys, I want to thank you again for joining me for another episode of Mindset Mastery. Was there any questions here? All right, we got some feedback. So before I do that, let's go ahead and go down. Cool. From Caroline. Cool. She knew what she wanted and went for it. Yes. Right? That reinforced the trust in herself. Apple Tree. She has 2 solid parents. That's awesome. Thank you, Jeanette. And even though her parents were the one resisting her the most, and she stood firm. Who's resisting you right now? Stand firm in your convictions. At the end of the day, it is about doing what you feel is right for you personally and your business, even when you will clash. Willing to have those crucial conversations, willing to collide with your partner is important. Don't concede. Patrick, great insights. Do you and stop looking to others for validation. Such a great lesson. And I think we need to take that to heart today. We need to be aware of our conversations. Where are you conceding? Where are you asking for the opinions of others when they really don't matter? You need to make your own decision. I love that. Jermaine, nice. Marissa, learning to trust my own voice and being clear about that vision I have for myself. What a great lesson, right? Because even if you failed, you know you are wiser from that. You can't blame somebody else. You can say, I can only make myself better. I know now. There's a lot of information to take in today. I'm so glad I tuned in, and we'll have to consider how I approach my situation with my wife and kids. Man, I'm telling you, dude, I had so much resistance from my wife at one point. The guilt, right, of taking on another listing because I knew the time and effort that went into that. Until I started conveying my vision. Until she came along and saw what I was doing. Bring your kids along if they're giving you a hard time. They'll understand. They'll be less inclined to give you a hard time when you have to go show up for your business. They know how hard mom and dad works. Bring your wife along, your husband. This is pulling you back. It's not your skill set right now. It's the lack of conviction to stand up firm. Stand up firm and you will win life. I need to set a solid foundation and stand firm with my choices to ensure I can reach my goals. Have those conversations, man. What was the name of the book? The book that I was reading is called The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. Again, I read this together with Carla. We would read a few chapters every day together. We would sit on the couch, and then we would discuss the different chapters. It changed the course of how I showed up as a man, and it changed the course of how Carla showed up as a woman, or the feminine and masculine energy, which is very important. In any relationship, there's always going to be a masculine energy and a feminine energy. That's what works. You can't expect anyone else to see your vision when you can't see your own. And that's the frustrating part, right? We just can see what we want, but yet we can't get clear on it ourselves, so we get frustrated with others, can't see that within us. But it goes back. If you can't trust yourself, no one else is going to trust you. Don't ask for someone to solve these issues, Eric. Don't ask or question yourself what to do next. No one's going to trust you. And more importantly, you're not going to trust yourself. It's all about being clear with yourself first. Yes. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this Mindset Mastery. It just reinforced a lot with just speaking out loud, right? Because all these thoughts are going in my mind. I'm writing as much as I can as I'm thinking about this. And I think we all have things to work on. But it takes the first step, which is to stand firm. Stand firm, and you will win life. Guys, I want to thank you for joining me for another episode of Mindset Mastery. And I will talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye now.